Hello and welcome back to another HuffBlog. Now I was thinking, shall I save this until I get a blue Yeti and that all goes well and you no longer have to put up with the crackle? But I figured, let's do one more crackly video. The blue Yeti should be coming tomorrow. Even if it doesn't, I probably won't be making any other videos tomorrow because my wife is coming home from work that she has to do every week, and that's really sad and horrible, and that is in fact what this HuffBlog is going to be about. It's going to be about all the things she does as literally the best tutor in the world, because trust me, you have never known a tutor as great as she. You see, the way things used to work is that when she was going through uni, I was the one with the old jobberoo. I worked at I'm going to say at the spa, but that might create confusion. I don't mean like a place that you get massages and stuff. I mean SPAR, which is like a chain of like corner shop hybrids that are in England at least. I don't know if they're anywhere else. Basically, imagine like corner shop prices but corporate level exploitation. They are making a lot of margins on the crap that they peddle, let me tell you. And yeah, I used to do that, and it was horrible and horrific. But of course, I was willing to do it at least until I literally started to collapse, because you see, I am just a poor autistic fool not suited for actual life. So when I was doing all these proper grown-uppy things like having a job, I was sort of starting to melt into a puddle of tears and death. And so I resigned from that, and don't regret that. I mean, sometimes, I worry about, oh my god, am I just a big old waste of space, a burden, all of that stuff. But, while I have not been financially useful since my resignation, I think I've been emotionally useful. There have been, some things that have happened with my poor wife, that I have been able to be there for her where I might not have been able to had I still been there. So for that reason, and that reason alone, I'm not going to regret no longer working there. And another reason I might want to no longer regret, not regret no longer working there, is that a few months after I left, on a night I usually would have been working, the place got robbed by people with machetes. No one working there died, fortunately, but someone was dragged across the shop by their hair. And of course, if I was still there, well, maybe I would have died, because you never know how things would have gone differently. So always things like that to consider. I mean, my dear old dad taught me, never regret anything, because you just don't know what would have happened if things had gone another way. Even if you have an idea of what would have happened, you just don't know. So yeah, if I hadn't left, maybe I'd be dead. So no regret for that reason, and no regret also for the reason of me being able to sort of be of some emotional support my wife when she needs it, because that, really, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the chief reasons for me being alive, is to just sort of keep her going, keep her relatively happy whenever it's possible to do so. Why am I running from minions? Minions aren't scary. In fact, probably shrines. What's going on? See, I've been too busy talking about myself and not focusing on the game, which I guess is the point of these videos. So yeah, since I stopped doing that, she became a tutor. Though, in fact, I think for a while it overlapped. Basically what happened is, one of her mum's friend was like, hey, my children need tutoring on this topic. I know you're proficient at this topic, and that you want to be a teacher one day. Fancy giving them a bit of a toot? And she said yes. And essentially, she was just so good at it. I mean, she bumped these kids' grades up like you wouldn't even believe. What do I want? I guess we'll go for Venom. She was so good at it that she, word of mouth spread. She got a few more customers, ended up setting, a profile on some tutoring site. Word of mouth spread there. Business grew, and now she is probably doing far more business than she ever actually wanted to do. The poor Poor thing, her hours are just pretty bad, but and it's not something she wants to do forever. I think she finds it pretty stressful, and I think one of the reasons she finds it stressful is also one of the reasons that she's the best damn tutor in the world, and that is that she just cares such a huge amount about each and every one of her students. She puts in so much effort to every one. I am convinced that there is no other tutor, even the ones that charge like 3, 4, 5 times what she charges. There is no other tutor that would put in the kind of work that she does. Like for every hour of lesson she teaches, she's put in like 2 hours of just pure preparation to make sure that it is the exact lesson that that student specifically will benefit from. And I just feel like other tutors, they're probably going to be a bit more standardized about it, but she gives every single student just so much care and attention, which is of course what you really need. I mean, the reason that so many kids sort of fall behind in school is that school is so standardized, and learning is much more an individual thing than anyone gives it credit for. There's no real standardized way of learning, and I know I've heard people say that, oh, there are 3 types of learning. There's audio, visual, tactile, and that sort of thing, or practical, and it's like, there are more than 3 types. There are more than 3 types of learning. There are probably like as many types of learning as there are people, really. And she will find the exact type of learning that her kids need. She's just amazing. But recently, she's been a bit annoyed because she had, I do nothing in this process, she had a pretty difficult client, both sort of the student and her parents. Not her, the student, maybe a woman, but maybe not. I'm not going to say. Their parents, I totally meant to say their, it was just a slip. The student and their parents both sort of kind of horrible. And usually you only get like one. You get like horrible parents and lovely students, or horrible students but lovely parents. And when that happens, you can kind of like eke together some way to survive, but this poor old wife was just dealing with pure horribleness, and basically the student was like putting in nothing. Like she has no problem with like teaching kids who have difficulties learning, and she's in fact done so to great success in the past, and she also kind of does pretty well teaching students who don't really want to learn either. Students who are a little on the lazier side academically. She will get them what they need. But when the student does nothing at all, and in fact cancels all of their lessons with like nearly no warning, like that's just kind of horrible, because as I previously mentioned, she puts in so much work sort of planning all these lessons, to have them then sort of cancelled and wasted is just a real kick in the face. And wait, everyone seems to be going somewhere. I should probably follow them. It's a team-based game. Yeah, so that's a kick in the face. And also means, no money. But also, you then sort of have the parents, like, why the hell is my kid not getting taught? And it's like, maybe you should check that with your kid, because they're the one who's cancelling everything. And it led to a frustrating situation, which came to a bit of a head when said student was basically, whether they knew it or not, and I'm expecting not, because, teenagers never actually think their actions through and consider that things might have consequences, but she was basically trying to frame my wife for larceny. This student was cancelling lessons to go to parties and stuff, and taking the money that the parents were sort of leaving on the side. I don't know why these parents wouldn't pay my wife in person. That's what happens most of the time. I guess they just treat her like a dog. I'll just slip this money here and you can grab it on your way out. Confuses me, but obviously it backfired for all involved, because basically the kid was taking the cash and not mentioning anything about that to the parents. So eventually the parents were like, hey, what's going on? And you know, the wife explained it, did a good job explaining it, but parents were grumping anyway, because they're just those kind of parents. Sometimes you get parents who are grumpy. Sometimes you get parents who, like, most of the time you get parents who are pretty bad in their own unique ways. Like, even when dealing with the sweetest, kindest, most twee of parents, my wife has had to deal with a common phenomenon, and that is that some people don't seem to realize that when you are hiring someone for their services, you are only doing that. You are not hiring someone as, like, someone on retainer 24/7, someone to do exactly what you want at any time. So the amount of times that, like, parents, even the nice ones, are like, oh, can we do this extra? Can we do that extra? Can we shift this over here? Can we this, that, and the other? And, like, twist things around. And it's like, you know, she works full time. She can't just, like, immediately swap things to your whim. And yet, again, because my wife is so ridiculously kind and diligent and hardworking and amazing, she usually does, at great cost to her own self, you know, to her own sanity. So I guess that little tangent is, hey, if you ever hire someone for their service, realise that that's all you're doing. They are not now yours to own. And that any contract you enter into is a two-way responsibility. You know, if you can't make the hours that you have agreed, then you can't expect the person offering the service to immediately change to your whims. Because, you know, they can't. They have other clients. But anyway, back to complain about the specific parent. You know, they were grumpy. They were getting their grump on. They were certainly expecting the acquisition of my wife as a tutor to be some kind of miracle cure to their child's problems, and it doesn't always work like that. As much as, again, my wife goes the extra mile and, like, emotionally supports her students as well as just teaches them things, there are some things she can't do, and that is, like, literally be a parent to the child. If the child is cancelling lessons without the parent's knowledge, she can only sort of take that at face value. I mean, it's not like the child was like, hey, my parents don't know, but I'm cancelling this to go to a party. You know, the kid was going, hey, I'm cancelling this for insert bullshit reason here. She's not going to be like, well, I'm going to check with your parents, because, you know, that's not really how this works. So anyway, you know, she got on the other side of a lot of grump, and this kid was just like one of the worst students in the known universe, and just having this kid having to plan all these lessons that then never came to fruition, having to do all of this work only to get no appreciation and, you know, no money either, it was taking a bit of an emotional toll. And again, because my wife is just such a amazing, self-sacrificing, diligent, dedicated person, she was determined to just push herself through all this. But me, all her friends, basically everyone who knows her, just like, you know, you've got to dump this student. This student is just not worth your time or effort or anything, you know? There is such a thing as being untutorable, even by the best damn tutor on the planet. And so she listened, she cancelled the lesson, she was like, you know what, contract's done, we're no longer doing this. And of course the parents rang up, she got an earful, was called like a horrible, horrible person, just the worst, and I think that upset her a bit, but the important thing for her to know, the important thing for everyone listening to know, is that she is not. Sometimes in life, you know, it's just not worth putting yourself through hell. I mean, those, again, you know, those hours that, you know, she now has free from cancelling that student, she's already filled. She didn't necessarily want to do that because she's working too many hours, but again, being super diligent, she immediately let all her other clients know, you know, the ones who are constantly nattering for extra, she let them know, hey, I've got some time, and they immediately scooped it up. So those hours that she spent going through hell with a hell student will now be spent with much nicer students, and she'll actually end up paid in the end. So a happy ending to that story, but still the need to vent because, you know, of all the bullshit that happened, you know, someone needs to vent about it, and she's not going to be the one to vent about it because I guess it's sort of a sense of professionalism, and also that she's such a kind, selfless person that if she ever like is upset with someone or something, it won't be too long of fixating on it before she starts to second guess herself and think that, you know, maybe I'm the one in the wrong, maybe I need to accommodate, which is, you know, it belies an incredible, amazing kindness within her, but it's also, you don't need to do that, you know, sometimes the world is just shitty and you deserve to be annoyed at it, you know? Sometimes you're allowed to do that. I mean, I put up with far less bullshit in my life, and I still find things to complain about. You're allowed to, you know? And, you know, I worry about her all the time, because she does not like this job. That's the thing to understand. She's incredibly good at it, and, like, has just gotten all of this work out of what basically started out as a favour for a friend. She's gotten all of this work out of it by, you know, not just friends and acquaintances, but total strangers, 'cause, you know, word of mouth. She's so brilliant, she can get it done. She's incredible at it, but she doesn't actually want to do this because, I mean, again, you know, because she cares so much about every individual student, the sheer emotional toll that all of that caring about, like, a dozen different kids for a dozen different reasons just drains her, and, you know, not to mention the, you know, the work itself of, am I even doing anything? I swear to God, you know, when I'm just being quiet and focusing on the game, I do better than this, I really do, but, you know, just such an emotional toll it takes on her, and, you know, a mental toll, because, you know, teaching lessons is pretty taxing work in itself, and all the planning, and just the everything. You know, she doesn't like it, but she's doing it for now. She's still in uni. She is getting a degree in some kind of physics. I don't know what kind. I'm a pleb. You know, I got my degree in writing, which, you know, very nice bit of paper, but that's basically all it is. It didn't teach me anything except, I like to think, except how to write, but we'll see. Time will tell on that one. So yeah, she's getting a degree in some kind of physics, which she is then hoping to get into some kind of engineering position, which I think will be far more up her alley, because as much, like, she has a great passion for teaching, and she did want to be a teacher when I had met her, but I think sort of the realities of what teaching is has made her sort of reconsider that. But not fully. She's told me recently that, you know, she still really wants to teach. Like, the idea of teaching, the ideal of teaching, of, like, imparting knowledge and just sort of being a positive influence in someone's life is just something that she really, really loves. But, you know, the actual realities of teaching itself is just politics and bullshit and stress and strain. So, engineering, another thing that she has proven in the past to be good at. I mean, she's done some internships at some really cool places, and, you know, been well liked there. And you know, there are some places where, you know, she could go and say, "Hey, remember me?" and they would definitely say, "Yes, we do. Let's get you a job." You know, all she needs is the degree, and a lot of doors will open. I can guarantee that. And now, a lot of doors will open, and I think she'll be much happier doing something in engineering, because it's something that she likes and something that is relatively bullshit-free. She's a little bit worried about sort of ethical implications of how, even if she was working on something benevolent, which of course she's going to, Just these big companies inevitably have some kind of department basically dedicated to evil science. And, you know, she's like, you know, what's the ethics like of working something like that? But the way I see it, everywhere is kind of evil. I mean, this... I guess, unless you're, I don't know, someone who is self-employed and creates quilt blankets for kittens, gives them away for free, and lives off of donations. Unless that happens, you're kind of going to work for someone who's evil, but that does not make you a personally evil person. So that's something she doesn't need to worry about. But yeah, that's the goal for her, and I sincerely wish her well, because you know, as much as I said earlier that, like, I have no regrets about leaving the spa for various reasons, and of how much I've been able to sort of... like, okay, let's explain this in World of Warcraft terms, because that's basically how I process my life. She is a tank, and I'm a healer. She takes all of the world's bullshit head on, and I support her, I make it bearable, and I soothe her. But there's still a bit of guilt in me where it's like, you know, should I be beside her rather than behind her? Should I be, like, shouldering some of that bullshit as well? Should I be plugging away at something to sort of take the strain off her? But she's already told me that, you know, even if I was earning something, she'd still be tutoring full-time because of that aforementioned immense fount of caring that I've mentioned many times before. Just, she feels as though she has such an obligation to these kids. So, what could I really do? I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't plan to, like, do nothing forever. I'm working on my own stuff. God can only bless me that it might eventually someday work out. Yeah, I'm trying. People looking in from outside might not see much when they look at me, but God help me, I'm trying. I am. Don't let the fact that I put out YouTube videos on a daily basis in which I play computer games fool you. I am trying. And I'll get there. We both will. She will go from being the world's best tutor to being the world's best engineer, because she is the sort of person who is just incredible at things. She is... I've never met anyone as, like, good at things as she is, and that is just the truth. So yeah, she will definitely get where she wants to be. I will maybe get where I want to be. You know, that's the distinction between us, but she'll definitely get there. I just, you know, I hope I'm doing my bit in the grand cosmic sense of things. Hope that when I appear in the annals of history, I will not be like, Jamie O'Flynn, piece of shit. You know, I'm sort of aiming for that not to happen. Did you see how, like, I attempted to escape there by teleporting, but I'm so bad at playing games while doing these things that I can't even press the number 2 properly. I'm going to type GG. People on my team will not agree that that was a good game, but it's polite. Oh, there you go, Murky agrees. Murky gets it. Murky's a polite person. So yeah, that is my rambling HuffBlog. Because I was half focused on talking, half focused on playing the game, I don't really know if I ever managed to form a complete sentence. Certainly didn't manage to form a complete bit of gameplay, I can tell you that. But if there's anything that you can take away from this HuffBlog, it is that my wife is awesome, she deserves better, she will get better because she will earn every bit of that herself because of the first point of being awesome. I'm alright. Hopefully I'll become awesome. But if I don't, a life of supporting someone as brilliant as my wife is, in any way I can, is a life well spent. So, I completed my daily quest, so I've got some lovely, lovely gold. See, I've got really good earning potential in video games. Ha! But that's about the end of my nattering. See you later.